Hey guys, I'm back, and today I'm going to be reading The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. The Lorax. At the far end of town where the grickle grass grows, and the wind smells slow and sour when it blows, and no birds ever sing excepting old crows, is the street of the lifted Lorax. So there's a little street sign, little boy down in the corner. And deep in the grickle grass, some people say, if you look deep enough, you can still see today where the Lorax once stood, just as long as it could before somebody lifted the Lorax away. What was the Lorax, and why was it there? And why was it lifted and taken somewhere? From far end of town where the grickle grass grows. The old Onceler still lives there. Ask him. He knows. He lives in that house. You won't see the Onceler. Don't knock at his door. He stays in his lurkim at the top of his store. He lurks in his lurkim. Cold under the roof, where he makes his own clothes out of muffled moof. And on special dank midnights in August, he peeks out of the shutters, and sometimes he speaks and tells how the Lorax was lifted away. He'll tell you, perhaps, if you're willing to pay. That's him. That's the Onceler in his window. He has a little sign that says the Onceler on his front door. On the end of a rope, he lets down a tin pail, and you'll have to toss in 15 cents and a nail. And the shell of a great-great-great-grandfather's snail. So he's tossing all that stuff in the bucket. So the Onceler in his window will tell him what happened. See, there's a Onceler getting all the nickels, nail, and the snail. Then he pulls up the pail, makes most careful count to see if you paid him the proper amount. Then he hides... sorry about that. Then he hides what you paid him away in his snub, his secret strange glove, with his grooveless glove. Then he grunts, I will call to you by whisper my phone, for the secrets I tell you are for your ears alone. So he's using a little whisper phone into his ear. Slurp down slurps the whisper phone to your ear, and the old Onceler's whispers are not very clear, since they have to come down through a snargly hose, and he sounds as if he had smallish bees up his nose. Now I'll tell you, he says with his teeth sounding gray, how the Lorax got lifted and taken away. It all started way back, such a long time back. This is the Lorax's forest. Way back in the days when the grass was still green, and the pond was still wet, and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the swoomy swans rang out in space, one morning I came to this glorious place. And first I saw the trees, the truffula trees, the bright-colored troughs of the truffula trees, mile after mile in the fresh morning breeze. See, this little goose is hanging out in the pond with all the truffula trees. There's a bunch of little bears. And under the trees I saw brown Barbalots frisking about in their Barbalot suits. As they played in the shade and ate truffula fruits, from the rippleless pond came the comfortable sound of the humming fish humming without splashing around. See, those humming fish are humming, and they're splashing around. But those trees, those truffula trees, All my life I've been searching for trees such as these. The touch of their tufts was much softer than silk, and they had the sweet smell of fresh butterfly milk. I felt a great leaping, a joy in my heart. I knew just what to do. I unloaded my cart. See, he's unloading all the stuff in his cart. In no time at all, I had built a small shop. Then I chopped down a truffle tree with one chop. And with a great skillful skill, and a great speedy speed, I took a soft tuft, and I knitted a thneed. So he's knitting a thneed right there. There's a bear next to him. And that's the tree he cut down. The instant I finished, I heard a zmp. I looked, I saw something pop out of the stump of the tree I chopped down. It was some sort of man. Describe him, that's hard, I don't know if I can. That's the Lorax. He was shortish and oddish and brownish and mossy, and he spoke with a voice that was sharpish and bossy. Mister, he said with a sawdusty sneeze, I am the Lorax, I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees have no tongues. I'm asking you, sir, at the top of my lungs. He was very upset as he shouted and puffed, What's that thing you've made out of my truffle a tuft? See, he's talking to the Onceler who's making a thneed out of the truffle a tuft. Look, Lorax, I said, there's no cause for alarm. I just chopped one tree. I am doing no harm. I am being quite useful. This thing is a thneed. A thneed's fine something that all people need. It's a shirt, it's a sock, it's a glove, it's a hat. But it has other uses, yes, far beyond that. You can use it for carpets, for pillows, for sheets, or curtains, or covers, or for bicycle seats. The Lorax said, Sir, you are crazy with greed. There is no one on earth who would buy that fool thneed. He didn't want him to cut down all the trees to make his thneeds. But he sold it. But the very next minute I proved he was wrong, for just at that minute a chap came along, and he thought that the thneed I knitted was great. He happily bought it for $3.98. I laughed at the Lorax, you poor stupid guy. You never can tell what some people will buy. See, this guy's going away with the thneed he just bought. I repeat, cried the Lorax, I speak for the trees. Uh-oh. I'm busy, I told him. Shut up, if you please. I rushed across the room, and in no time at all, I built a radiophone and made a quick call. I called my brothers and uncles and aunts, and I said, Listen here, there's a wonderful chance for the whole Onceler family to get mighty rich. Get over here fast, take the road to North Nitch. Turn at the Weehawken, sharp right at South Nitch. And in no time at all, in the factory I built, the whole Onceler family was working full tilt. They were knitting things, just as busy as bees, to the sound of the chopping of truffle trees. See, they're chopping all of them down. Then, oh baby, oh, how my business did grow. Now chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I quickly invented my super axe hacker, which whacked out 4 truffle trees at one smacker. We were making thneeds 4 times as fast as before, and that Lorax, he did not show up anymore. See, now they're cutting 4 trees instead of 1. Ay, sorry about that. Let me refocus. There you go. I'll get back to the page where I once was. But the next week, he knocked on my new office door. He snapped, "I'm the Lorax who speaks for the trees, which you seem to be chopping as fast as you please. But I'm also in charge of the brown Barbaloots, who played in the shade in their Barbaloot suits, and happily lived eating truffle fruits. Now, thanks to your hacking my trees to the ground, there's not enough truffle fruit to go round. And my poor Barbaloots are getting the crummies because they have gas and no food in their tummies." See, they're all hungry because they have no more food. Because the Onceler cut down all the trees. Almost all the trees. They love living here, but I can't let them stay. They'll have to find food, and I hope that they may. "Good luck, boys," he cried, and he sent them away. But I, the Onceler, felt sad as I watched them go. But business is business, and business must grow, regardless of crummies and tummies, you know. They're carrying the poor little bear. He can't walk by himself. So the bears had to leave because there was no more food in the forest for them. But I meant no harm, I truly did not. But I had to grow bigger, so bigger I got. I biggered my factory, I biggered my roads, I biggered my wagons, I biggered the loads. The loads of the thneeds that I shipped out. I was shipping the forths to the south, to the east, to the west, to the north. I went on biggering, selling more thneeds. I biggered my money, which everyone needs. Then again he came back. With that old nuisance Lorax came back with more gripes. "I am the Lorax," he coughed and he whiffed. He sneezed and snuffled. He snargled, he sniffed. "Onceler," he cried with a tearful look. "Onceler, you're making such smogulous smoke. My poor swoony swans, why they can't sing a note. No one can sing who has smog in his throat." See, his factory's causing too much smoke and it's hurting all the birds. "And so," said the Lorax, "please pardon my cough. They cannot live here, so I'm sending them off. Where will they go? I don't hopefully know. They may have to fly for a month or a year to escape from the smog you've smogged up around here." Now the birds have gone too, along with the bears. "What's more," said the Lorax, his dander was up, "let me say a few words about Gluppity-Glup. Your machinery chugs on day and night without stop, making gluppity-glup, oh so sloppity-slop. And what do you do with this leftover goo? I'll show you, you dirty old Onceler man, you." See, there's all the goo they're making. "You're glumping the pond where the humming fish hummed. No more can they hum, for their gills are now gummed. I'm sending them off, oh their future is dreary. They'll walk on their fins and get woefully weary in search of some water that isn't so smeary." See, now the fish have to leave too. Now the bears, birds, and fish had to leave because their home wasn't good anymore because of the Onceler's business. And then I got mad. I got terribly mad. I yelled at the Lorax, "Now listen here, Dad. All you do is yappity-yap and say bad, 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 bad. Well, I have my rights, sir, and I'm telling you I intend to go on doing just what I do. And for your information, the Lorax, I'm figuring on biggering. I'm figuring on biggering, and biggering, and biggering, and biggering. Turning more truffle trees into thneeds, which everyone needs." And at that very moment, he heard a loud whack. From outside the fields came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree when we heard the tree fall, the very last truffula tree of them all. He cut down the last truffula tree. All the truffula trees are now gone. No more trees, no more needs, no more work to be done, and so in no time my uncles and aunts, every one, all waved me goodbye. They jumped into cars and drove away under the smoke-smothered stars. Now all that was left neath the bag-smelling sky was my big empty factory, the Lorax and I. See, they're leaving in their cars away because they cut down all the trees and they can't cut down any more. The Lorax said nothing, just gave me a glance. Just gave me a very sad backwards glance. As he lifted himself by the seat of his pants, I'll never forget the grim look on his face when he hoisted himself and took leave of this place, through a hole in the smog without leaving a trace. So now he had to leave too, leaving the Onceler alone. There he is, the Onceler alone. In the empty forest where no animal lives, and his family ran away from him because there was no more business to be had. And all that the Lorax left there in his mess was a small pile of rocks with one word, unless. Whatever that meant, well, I just couldn't guess. That was long, long ago, but each day since that day, I've sat here and worried away. Through the years while my buildings have fallen apart, I've worried about it with all of my heart. But now, says Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, Catch calls a Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula tree. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last truffula seeds, and truffula trees are what everyone needs. Plant a new truffula, treat it with care, give it clean water, and feed it fresh air. Grow a forest, protect it from axes that hack. Then the Lorax and all of his friends may come back. See through the little boy a seed. The end. So because of the Onceler cutting down all the trees, all the animals had to leave, along with the Lorax who's trying to protect the trees. And then the kid who came to ask the Onceler what happened back then, he was a hope for the Onceler that he could grow a whole new forest where new animals could be. Thank you, and that was The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. Bye.